Welcome back. The last episode, we saw that the vice captain follows Kafka aka Kaiju number 8 into an alley, so we see that vice captain Hoshino starts to glow with a violet aura as he stares at Kaiju number 8. Kafka also has his fists up ready to fight. However, he knows that he cannot use his fists against the vice captain because Hoshino would be vaporized if Kafka tries to punch him. All of a sudden, a fountain of blood erupts from his chest. Kafka looks up and sees Hoshino high in the air. Kafka realizes that he won't be able to survive against the captain if he holds back his power. Hoshino lands and pushes himself off a nearby street pole, launching himself into Kafka. Kafka quickly jumps away, dodging the crater Hoshino created upon attacking. Hoshino lunges at the fleeing Kafka again and begins to attack with his knives. Kafka dodges everywhere, tilting his head back and forth, inches away from being decapitated. Hoshino's attacks are so fast that Kafka doesn't even have time to harden his body to protect himself. A few cuts and slashes get past Kafka's guard, and wounds begin to appear all over his body. Kafka realizes that while Hoshino may not be stronger than other humanoid kaiju, his overwhelming speed more than makes up for it. He was amazed the first time he saw Shinomiya move during their training, but Hoshino is on a whole other level compared to them. Kafka jumps into a narrow alley, hoping to shake Hoshino off, but Hoshino starts jumping between the walls after him. A few seconds later, Hoshino attacks again and Kafka's hand is cut off. Not only that, his chest has been sliced open, exposing his core. Kafka lands on the wall and quickly regenerates, growing his hand and chest back. It was the first time Kafka had used his regeneration, and he noticed that it used a lot of stamina. He continues his escape, making sure he doesn't take any more dangerous hits. When Hoshino closes the gap between them again, Kafka meets Hoshino's blades with his own fists, deflecting their blows. Hoshino's assessment of the kaiju increases, and he estimates that his opponent must be at least level 8. That would classify it as a Dekiju, one of the highest classifications possible. However, Hoshino also notices that there is something strange about their fight, but Hoshino is not one to be distracted. He jumps away again and prepares his blades. Kafka tries to catch his breath as Hoshino's blade reddens with power. He then slashes at Kafka despite the distance between them. But this time, Hoshino's knives make two powerful slashes, slicing through the air. Kafka felt the barely visible slashes coming straight at him and quickly jumped to the side. The slashes cut through his knee, removing his leg, but it's not over yet. Hoshino is already right in front of Kafka. Kafka realizes that the double slash earlier was just a decoy, and this is the real attack. Hoshino slashes again, this time directly at Kafka's chest where his heart is. Kafka blocks, but the knife cuts deep into his body. Hoshino is confident of success, but his eyes widen. His blade has been stopped by a toothy mouth that has suddenly formed in Kafka's chest. Hoshino tried to pull the knife back, but the teeth did not budge. Blood dripped into Kafka's mouth, but his plan worked. He knew that Hoshino would target his core when he saw it earlier, so he developed a countermeasure. Electricity then runs through his body as he prepares a powerful punch. Hoshino realizes he may be in danger, but Kafka aims his blow at Hoshino's knife, forcing Hoshino to let go and breaking it from him. Hoshino was knocked back by the shockwave of the attack and landed a few feet away. When he looks back, Kafka is already gone. Hoshino hits his head in regret that his prey has escaped. He calls Captain Mina, who has just finished eliminating all the other small kaiju, and reports that Kaiju 8 had escaped. On one of the battlefields, Shinomiya sits on a kaiju corpse and wonders if it's really okay to put her trust in Kafka. Fortunately, her trust wasn't in vain when Kafka returned alive in his human form. She smiles broadly as she begins to scold him, but immediately catches Kafka as he stumbles into her arms. Kafka apologizes to her for failing to kill the humanoid kaiju, but Shinomiya just blushes and points out that she'll kill it herself. Kafka tries to lead to find the injured Ikikawa, but Shinomiya stops him. She points out that they should be fine since the core uses kaiju technology to heal them. Instead, she starts scolding Kafka for getting into a fight with the vice captain. Meanwhile, Mina sees Hoshino deep in thought. When she asks him about Kaiju No 8, Hoshino tells her that he is probably a Dekiju. He would be the first since the last Dekiju was Fukuoka 5 years ago. Fortunately, Kaiju No 8 still has no victims despite its high threat level. In fact, Hoshino keeps thinking about why the kaiju attacked his weapon earlier instead of him. Throughout the battle, Hoshino felt as if he was fighting a man and not a monster. Mina advises him not to think about it too much, as their mission is still to eliminate all the kaiju. A message arrives from Ikaruga telling the two leaders that they were able to identify the kaiju that attacked Ikikawa and Furuhashi. It was the same one that appeared at their trial site. He also tells how they found the kaiju that looked like a human. In another part of the city, the humanoid kaiju is back in its human form and walking away from the battlefield. A car stops behind him and the driver tells him to get out of the way. The human kaiju then eats him and assumes his identity, driving his car away from the scene. Some hours later, Akikawa wakes up in the hospital. Shinomiya and Kafka are waiting next to him. Akikawa thanks Kafka for saving them, but Kafka's eyes widen in response. It turns out that Aheru was in the same room and he asks Akikawa why he's thanking Kafka when it was Kaiju No 8 who saved them. Shinomiya quickly makes something up and tells him that they're thanking Kafka for finding out about the Kaiju's reproductive organs. Aheru begins to wonder aloud why Kaiju No 8 saved them. He starts praising Kaiju No 8's strength, which makes Kafka blush. After being released from the hospital, a party is held to celebrate Furuhashi and Akikawa's recovery. All the rookies of the Defense Corps congratulate them on leaving the hospital. Kafka mentions that this party is not only to celebrate Furuhashi and Akikawa's recovery, but also to celebrate their first victory in their debut mission. These guys have apparently been patiently waiting for Furuhashi and Akikawa to return all this time so that they could celebrate this joyous occasion together. Now that everyone is gathered, Kafka calls for their meal as a team of 9 members emerges from the curtains, revealing that they have been waiting patiently to surprise the group. The cooking team serves Kafka, and the group is Japanese as 6 Wagyu beef, which I didn't even know existed. Haruichi comes to the front with a slightly worried look on his face, remembering that he ordered the cheapest course and explaining that his entire family tree doesn't have much money to pay for his 6 Wagyu beef, but the chef tells him not to worry as he promises to charge only the standard price for the meal. All joking aside, according to Shinomiya, Haruichi is apparently the only heir to Izumo Technologies, a large tech company in Japan, and that is why he can afford such luxurious delicacies. Kafka asks Shinomiya what this guy's company does anyway, and Shinomiya explains that Izumo Technologies is the largest manufacturer of anti-kaiju weapons in the country, meaning that they are the guys who make the defense for suits. Shinomiya also tells Kafka that Haruichi has much more money than her family. Anyway, Hoshino joins them and calls for a toast to appreciate their hard work on their debut mission, telling them to get drunk and have fun together on this joyful night. Accordingly, Kafka immediately chugs down a whole glass of beer. The girls, on the other hand, start their own mukbang session. While each subgroup is having their own conversation, Ikakawa, who was sitting next to Hoshino, comments that he has never seen everyone so happy and thanks Hoshino for allowing the recruits to have this party and enjoy it. However, Hoshino, for some reason, gives Ikakawa an evil grin and warns him that the real show is about to start. Ikakawa asks Hoshino what he suddenly wants to say, but before he can get an answer, Shinomiya interrupts them and gets into a fight with Furuhashi. She calls him selfish and a big show-off for always trying to look good without having any top skills and yells at him that he shouldn't take everything so personally. On the other hand, Kaguraji, the guy who doesn't get any screen time, gets into a fight with Izumo, which confuses Ikakawa because he doesn't understand why they are fighting over nothing. Kafka joins in completely drunk and asks Izumo for advice since he wasn't able to release much power. As almost everyone starts to argue with each other, Ikakawa wonders what in the world is going on when he finally realizes that all the groups are actually talking about their mission and criticizing each other for their mistakes, which is good because this way they will all be able to find out where they are lacking. Kafka picks a fight with Kaguraji, showing off both of their strengths in an arm wrestling match. Similarly, the others get into a fight and start beating each other up. This chaotic situation shows what Hoshino meant when he said that the real show is about to happen. Haruichi meets with Chef Dejima, who thanks him for working with them after such a long time. Dejima asks Haruichi how his father is doing, but Haruichi's answer doesn't satisfy the old man because he hasn't talked to his father for a long time. Kaguraji overhears their conversation, but doesn't stick his nose in and quietly goes to the toilet. Back at the party, Hoshino calms everyone down and announces that Kafka will be promoted to officer despite his weaknesses because he was able to save many lives with his insight into Kaji's eggs during their mission. Kafka is officially welcomed to the team and is cheered for still having what it takes in his old age. The next day after the party, Kafka is given his official officer's outfit by Captain Mina Ashiro, who doesn't wait a moment to discourage him, telling him that with his talentless body he won't be able to fight at her side even if he tried all his life. But Kafka doesn't take her words negatively and is glad that she at least remembers that he wants to fight at her side. So before leaving, Mina tells Kafka not to disappoint Hoshino, revealing that it was Hoshino who saw potential in him and was the only person who recommended him to be a full officer in the Defense Corps. So Kafka begins to study hard, staying late into the night when he notices someone in the training room. When his curious mind tells him to go inside, he finds Hoshino sparring alone. Mimicking his earlier fight with Kaiju No. 8, Hoshino stops when he sees Kafka and explains that he is in the midst of devising a strategy to defeat Kaiju No. 8, which frightens Kafka as he no longer wants to be hurt by this terrifying little man. Still, Kafka shows Hoshino of his respect and gives him a proper salute, knowing that Hoshino is only training this late at night because he wants to protect the people of this country and his comrades from the unknown threats that are these new humanoid kaiju. Meanwhile, up in the sky, a mysterious crimson kaiju is flying with his army of kaiju dragons, definitely on his way to cause trouble for the Defense Corps.